Hello, and welcome to Dream No More, made by Team Galaxy. We are
Michael.
Imran,
Kevin.
Trevor.
Andrew.
Brandon.
One of the things that went well was bringing on our producer. He helped guide us in the right direction for our game, which was converting from 3D to 2D. This made our game a lot easier to construct since we are making a top-down shooter game. Another good thing was getting a different opinion from someone who wasn't working on the game directly and was only seeing the progress from the builds each week and hearing what changes he thought would be good additions to the game. We also implemented content locks on Fridays, which meant no additional content could be added to our project for this build. This gave us substantial amount of playtesting that we could do to fix any new or remaining bugs that weren't fixed previously. We also used Hack and Plan for our task list, which allowed us to divide our work equally, but also track what was fully completed on our testing or in testing in real time. This kept the game organized and under control. Without these things, I believe our project would not have been as successful as it has been.
Several things on the project didn't go so well. Our time management skills were initially very poor, resulting in major bug fixes with less than an hour before a milestone was due. We also felt that 3D was not the direction we needed to take to make a successful project. Finally, melee-style combat didn't work very well with the gameplay style we had chosen, so that was removed near the end of the project.
Throughout our time as a team for this capstone project, we have put known skills and newly learned skills to the best use possible to obtain our final milestone. Working in 2D is probably one of our biggest hurdles in newly learned skills, along with 2D animation and learning the tile map within Unity. Among our newly found skills, we also put to good use skills formerly learned such as level design, AI, class-based scripting, communication, time management, and above all, playtesting. When it comes to ensuring a fully functional game that runs smoothly, playtesting becomes the cornerstone to our success, such as testing the UI.
The game has the player navigating through a series of rooms, each with an assortment of enemies that will chase and shoot at the player. The player has two means of attacking enemies, the light attacks and heavy attacks. Light attacks are guns that the player can find off of most dead enemies. Other than the base gun that is given to the player at the start of the game, each has a limited amount of ammo for the player to use. The heavy attacks do more damage and have a wider area of effect, but come with a cooldown. Lastly, the player can dash, which allows them to move more quickly and escape enemies, as well as negating damage from enemy projectiles.
Dream No More is a 2D bullet hell shooter. In the first iteration of the game, it had three different classes: Rogue, Barbarian, and Knight, with melee being the forefront of the game and projectile attacks being the secondary. In the second iteration, firing became the primary ability and melee became a secondary ability. In the final iteration, the team decided to fully remove any melee combat from the game so the player can focus on fully enjoying all the different weapons and mechanics in the game.
The initial version of the project was a 3D adventure game, where the player would traverse a scene collecting items and completing puzzles. Since that time, it has vastly changed, moving away not only from the adventure game genre, but also moving to a 2D experience. The project has undergone many revisions and has had several overhauls. Instead of exploring dungeons to find collectibles and solve puzzles, the player is now focused on combating enemies to progress, and even the combat has changed. The initial version of the project was to focus on melee combat and have a block mechanic. Now the players use ranged attacks and a dash to avoid damage.
One of many cool features that catches everyone's attention would be our consume mechanic. This mechanic started off as forage for resources that were left on an enemy after death. This ended up changing to the consumption of life, armor, or a new weapon to progress through the levels, giving the player the choice to consume any of the three to survive. The catch is to this is that you cannot consume any enemy until the enemies are dead in the room.